before the break, actually, we already started chapter 8. We did started. So some of the stuff we did. The stuff I talked about actually in chapter 8, like operating profit, economic profit, you know, and those concepts actually in chapter 8. We already started some of them. Okay. So we're going to continue on that. Okay. So far, all the stuff we have been talking about is under one single market structure that is a perfect competitive market. Okay, perfect competitive market. So today I'm going to go over the characteristic of that market structure again, and then I'm going to start introducing you some other market structures. Because the firms behave totally differently in the different market structures. Okay? And also the profit margin made and the decision on the price and output all different in a different market structure. So that's why, and we need to know what kind of market structure we're in. And also I'm going to show you some comparison among different market structures. So the first one we call the perfect competitive market. So this is the market we have been under. The old discussion on the output, everything is under this perfect competitive market structures. Okay? And what are the characteristics of this market structure?
There are not barriers to enter or exit.
There's no barrier to enter and exit.
There are no monopolies. I guess you could say.
Okay. So no monopoly for sure. How about the number of firms? How many firms in this market? A lot of firms. Okay, we have a lot of providers. Otherwise, it would not be called perfect competitive, right? So you have many providers. Okay, others? Other characteristic?
The price is set by market.
Each firm is a price. What? Taker. Price.
The same.
Price taker, right? Somebody said that. Each firm is a price taker, and the market determines the price. So each firm is a price taker. And I'm going to, emphasize this more later. Each firm is a price taker. What else?
They're selling the same kind of products, aren't they?
Good. The goods are homogeneous. Homogeneous. Very important condition. Let me give you an example, and I want to ask you whether that good is homogeneous or not. Yes.
I thought you were going to use example.
Yes. Yes. But the example is yes, and I'm going to give you a little bit hint. But usually, the gas is the same, right? Either you get it from one pump, one
gas.
stick, gas.
I thought you said guess.
Yeah,
I was like, how was I supposed to guess?
Yes.
Yes.
You have not used to my accent yet? 6 years ago when I've been working here, this is my 7th year. The first year I was here, and I lived in Pembroke, and I often go to that Sandu College, Sandu gas station. The gas price there is slightly higher than the other stations. I don't know whether you guys notice that. But I went there often just because somebody else is pumped the gas for me. I still go there sometimes. They pump the gas for you. I go to the other gas station in town, they don't have that service. Gas is the same, and I don't think, there may be a different quality, some gas station is a little bit purer than the others, but to me, it's pretty much the same. But in this example here, just to you, can we call the gas as homogeneous?
There's an additional service being rendered.
Because there is additional service. Okay, whole package is different. The reason I choose one than the other, because that gas station offer this service where the other gas station does not. So in this is a perfect example show you that in this market I'm just talking about, the goods are not homogeneous. If nobody, in all the gas station here, nobody found the gas for you, no, okay? And also you don't have the other, facility like, some gas station has a nice store than the others, has more. Because sometimes we stop gas because we want to get something to eat or get something to drink, right? There's always company that. Okay, so if we don't have any of that, just gas, just pumping the gas, I would say that it is a homogeneous good. But if there is some additional service, additional thing attached to that, then we have to look at the whole package. Okay. So this condition here, the goods are homogeneous, rule out most of the market. So most of the market do not fall into this category. Very, very few market we can call it product competitive. Okay, so this is not a realistic market. Okay, but why do we analyze this?
Easy to analyze.
It is easy, and also the result we gain from this provide us insight.
Something to come back to.
Yes. Okay, so that's a perfect competitive market. And these are the major conditions. There's some other condition too, like, there's no transaction cost, stuff like it. But, those are the main ones. Okay. Right. Next thing I want to talk about is the demand. Okay, demand that in this market. There's two demand line occur. I'm going to introduce you. One is market demand. The other one is individual firms demand. What the market demand looks like in a perfect competitive market.
Is it inelastic?
What?
Inelastic?
It has both elastic demand and inelastic demand. It has both. Okay, but we know the demand looks like that, right? It's negative slope. But along this here, some point may be elastic, some point may be inelastic. Okay. So that says this is pretty straightforward. Okay. Now, what if I want you to draw a demand that faced by a particular firm? This is the demand, the whole market demand. But this demand shows the demand faced by an individual firm.
Flat.
Maybe over there. Okay, he said flat, like that, right? Horizontal.
Elastic is.
And she said it's a vertical.
It's not
Good.
No, elastic is horizontal and elastic is vertical.
So good. So which one it is? Is this
No.
or this?
Vertical. I mean, it's a horizontal one. Oh, no.
Is it perfect elastic or perfect inelastic?
Perfectly
Okay, that's
inelastic.
that's refresh our memory on the elasticity concept. Okay, what is elasticity? Means
It's
you change a price just a little bit, then the quantity demanded is going to change dramatically. That is perfect elastic.
Mhm.
Perfect inelastic is no matter how much The price changes, quantity demand does not change.
Okay,
That is vertical.
Yes.
That's a vertical.
So it wasn't vertical, so it was flat.
Just,
So-
just remember I like in elastic it's vertical.
So what
it's,
will be the individual's
in
demand?
elastic, yeah.
Perfect elastic or perfect inelastic?
In. No,
No, elastic.
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 Why?
A small change is nobody's gonna buy
Yeah.
anymore.
That's right.
Worry about a bunch of it. Cheaper.
That's right. So it's a perfect elastic because any small change in the price, if you increase the price just by 2 cents, you will lose all the customers because somebody else selling the same product at lower price. Why should they buy it from you? Remember here, homogeneous, right? Homogeneous good. There's no difference. Okay. I want to ask you something here. What if this one is relaxed? This condition is relaxed. The goods are homogeneous.
Then it's a whole other ballgame. Sure.
Then the price, the firm will not be the individual firm's demand will not be a perfect elastic, right? Yeah, because they can raise a higher price. They can raise the price. They can say, okay, my price is higher than their price because my products are different. So when the products are differentiated, then you have the ability to charge a higher price without losing all the customers. Okay. So this is individual firm demand line, and this is market demand. Okay, good. So that's what I okay. One more thing here. And we know this price here, where does this price come from, right? Where does this price come from? Come from the market. The market determines the equilibrium price. Then each firm has to set this price and determine by market. This horizontal line not only represents demand, individual firm demand, also it is a price. So the demand is also the price. And it's also the marginal revenue for this individual firm. So this single line here not only represents the price, demand, and also represent marginal revenue. Okay, let's think about this. Okay, why? What is marginal revenue? When you sell one more unit, what is the increase of the total revenue? Okay, when you sell one more unit, it's the increase of total revenue, it's just the price of that good, right? So that single line here, you need to remember, represent the demand curve for the individual firm, represent marginal revenue, and also it is the equilibrium price. And later on, we're going to compare this with the monopolist case. Okay. All right, so now we're going to, so that's all I want to talk about perfect competitive market, because everything else we already finished. And in the last couple of lectures, we talk about how do we determine the output. We use price equal to marginal cost. Remember this? Okay, to determine the output. Okay, then we talk about and what circumstance the firm is going to make a positive operating profit, and what circumstance the firm is going to make positive economic profit. Remember those? Okay, what price range that P is at? You guys remember those? No? Give everything back to me. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay. So all this stuff is a discussion under this perfect competitive market. This marginal cost, this is ATC, this is ABC, okay? Remember we call this is the break even, this is not break even, this is the shutdown point, this is the break even point, right? Okay, if the price is in this range, you're making a positive operating profit but negative economic profit,
Right.
so you're going to run in the short run but get out in the long run, right? Okay, so that's what we talk about. So all this discussion is under perfect competitive market, right? Okay. Then also I showed you in the long run. Remember this one?
Oh, yeah.
Remember this? Okay, so we talk about this. So this is the decision in the short run. So in the short term, they're going to determine the output. In the long run, they're going to determine what is the optimal scale, right? Okay, and also, I said in the long run, the equilibrium point is right here, right? So this is a point where the market will push everything to in the end. And at this point here, you know, the market price is the lowest point of the ATC, okay? So the firm making a zero economic profit. Remember all this stuff here? Okay, so that's all, that discussion is a discussion under this perfect competitive market. So what we learned from those is this. In the short run, and the perfect competitive market, your profit may be positive. Okay? So remember we talked about if we choose a scale 1 and then you're making a positive profit, then the existing firm will keep spending to make profit even bigger and outside firm will come in. Okay? Alright, so in the short run, a firm is able to have a positive profit margin in a perfectly competitive market. But in the long run, is it possible? You guys with me here?
What was the question again?
Oh my god.
I thought I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
Was it?
Okay, so in the short run, a firm in a perfectly competitive market is able to have a positive profit margin,
Oh,
has a positive economic profit.
right.
But in the long run, is it possible?
It's
No.
impossible.
Because competition will eventually exhaust all the profit margin away. Okay. So that's what we learned for the perfect competitive market. In the short run, yes, you may be able to have a positive profit margin, but there's no way you can do it in the long run. Okay, because of your law entering and exiting in the long run. Okay, and you're allowed to expand the scale, increase the scale. So by doing that, and eventually all the profit margin will be exhausted. Okay.
What do you mean by long run? Like more than 1 year or more than 5 years or?
Okay, good question. I remember I mentioned about this short run at the very beginning.
Yeah.
There's no clear cutoff.
Okay.
There's no clear cutoff. But short run is a period of time that's a very big. The reason we differentiate short run and long run is in short run you're not too much concerned about the fixed cost. That's the cost of the building and the equipment stuff. You're more concerned about operating expenses. But the long run, you want to consider every bit of the cost. Okay, that's how we differentiate short run and long run. There's not a really clear cutoff.
Okay.
Yeah. But and also, in long run, if you give it longer period of time, other firm will see, you're making positive profit. I'm going to jump in. Okay, that can only happen if you give it longer period of the time.
I see. Okay.
Then allow the other firms to come in.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So that's what we learned. And also I want to have a couple other things here. So since the price is equal to the marginal revenue, what we have here is this, right? Okay. Marginal revenue equal to price equal to marginal cost. Okay. I want to have this especially because I want to compare this condition with another market structure. Okay. So basically that's what we learned from this market. The equilibrium condition is this. To find equilibrium output, this is condition. And in the long run and in the short run, we can have positive profit, but in the long run we can't. Okay. All right. So that's all the stuff we talk about. Okay. So today we're going to jump into the new market structure. Monopolistic market. Okay. The reason why I want to talk about this market right now is this is the extreme market structure. In this market structure, does firm have any market power? No, no firm has any market power. And what's the meaning of market power?
Ability to influence price.
The ability to raise the price without losing the customers. That's market power. In that market, no firm has any market power. Okay? And how about the monopolist market?
Complete power.
They have all the market power. And where does the market power come from?
I mean, I guess from them being the only.
No.
Only.
There's
like-
no competitors.
Yeah.
They have the biggest market share they can have. There's two sources, okay, you need to remember. There's two sources market power can come from. One source is market share. If you have large market share, then you have lot of market power. The second source, who can tell me what's the second source where the market power come from?
Limited resources. Alright.
The second source of market power come from is differentiation of your goods. If your good is different from other goods, then you can maintain market power. Okay, so there's two sources. One is market share, the other is differentiation. Okay, but in this market structure here, and all the market power come from the huge market share because there's nobody else there and there's no close substitute, you know, yeah. And so. Alright, okay, so now we need to derive a couple things. We need to derive that. What is the equilibrium condition in monopoly and how a monopolist determine the output? Is it the only thing that monopoly is going to determine?
Price.
Price. Because in the first one, each firm is a price taker, right? They don't determine the price. But now, the monopolist is going to determine the price. Okay. So the monopolist is going to determine this too. And how they're going to determine this too is we're going to derive right now.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you guys following me here?
Me on.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I feel very hot today. I don't know whether this room or the jacket I'm wearing is. Are you feeling hot?
Always.
You would. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So when I feel hot, I tend to speak faster. You know. I don't know whether it's a good thing or not.
This room's always hot.
Yeah.
This room is always
It,
hot.
it always is.
Okay.
One of Chase's.
Okay. So all right. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to draw the demand like what we did for the perfect competitive market. Okay, we're gonna have a market demand and we're gonna have individual firm demand. Market demand is something like that, right? How about this? The demand for this individual, for this monopolist, what does it look like?
Straight up and down.
Is it the same or different from market demand?
It's different. It's different, yeah.
It's the same. I don't know. I'm just throwing.
No, it has to be.
Think about it. Think about it. It's the same or it's different?
Completely vertical.
It's perfectly
Yeah, it
elastic.
has to be
It's
different.
different.
It has to be different.
It's different.
What's the meaning
Oh,
if I say?
inelastic. It's perfectly
Well,
elastic.
Because then no matter what,
Perfect competition.
When
Perfectly
they change the
competitive
price,
market
really has
is
not gonna change.
elastic.
So
Yeah.
it's inelastic.
It's inelastic. It's the
It's
opposite
great
of
that you
elastic.
guys have a lot of ideas, but give me a chance to speak now. When we talk about individuals' firms' demand, what do I mean by that? What do I
The
mean by
demand
that?
for their particular product within that market.
That's right. It's the consumers that will buy from this firm, right?
Mm.
Okay. And before in the perfect competitive market, we have many providers, right? Some consumer buy from company A, some consumer buy from company B. You know, you have choices, right?
Mhm.
So each firm maintain very small market share, right? Okay. But now we only have one provider. If a consumer wants to buy a product, they have to buy from them.
Okay, so if the price change, the demand stays the same, right?
So if the monopolist decide to change the price, increase the dollar, decrease the dollar, and then the quantity demand will change because there's a sole provider and then they're the price setter of this market.
So what you're saying is,
So
It's identical to that.
it is identical
Oh my god.
because the market, the whole market.
alright, I
They
got
are,
you.
they are the whole market.
That's
Oh my
because
God.
because there's nobody else to provide this good. So they're the only providers. The market demand is a demand faced by this monopolist.
Because,
There's no difference. Yeah, because they have all the market share.
because they've
They
still
own the
got,
whole market. They
they've got to
own.
work within the consumer's constraints.
Yes.
That's
still.
right. That's right. So
Consumers aren't just gonna buy it
Yeah.
at the price.
yes,
So
they
they're-
either buy or they don't buy.
That's-
Okay.
that's-
Yeah.
I was assuming they were gonna buy it no matter what.
I don't think we
And I'll assume that.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming, they were just gonna take it.
Okay, so that's one difference. So monopolist demand is the same as market demand. Okay. All right. In the perfectly competitive market, what we just did is this. Right? Now, can we still do that here?
Well, if that market demand and supply is contingent on the company, then yes. Because the company is the supplier.
Company is a supplier, and this monopoly is the only provider, is the only supplier.
That's true.
There's only one supply.
The same.
There's only one person supplier. So, what happened to this? Anybody tell me what happened to this?
Whatever the company wants it to do.
Whatever he supplied 20 quantity, then 20 is it. So, in the monopolist market structure, there's no supply line or supply curve. It's just a quantity supplied by him. That's it.
There's still gonna be a line there, right?
There's just one.
Oh, there's a,
One.
I got you.
If he decides to provide 20, then that's it.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, so that's another difference. And next, we're going to use this graph. Okay, we're going to add more things on it. Okay, since we're trying to derive this Q and this P, okay, the decision on output, the decision on the price, we need to combine the characteristic of the market, which is represented by this, and also the characteristic of this monopolist firm. Okay. What are the things that represent the characteristic of this monopolist firm? The cost curve. Okay, remember what we learned from previous chapter, average total cost, marginal cost, those cost curve represent the characteristic of this particular firm. Okay, so we're going to have those here as well. And those curves represent the characteristic of this firm. Then we're going to combine those characteristics with this market characteristic. Then we can determine the output. Is this too simple for you guys? No? Okay. Alright, so just like a perfect competitive firm, the average total cost function still has this shape. Okay? So you see the cost curve, it's the same. It's the same amount of firms, and they all experience this decreasing at the beginning and increasing afterwards. Okay. Okay. So we have the characteristic from the firm now, and also we have the information about the market, which represented by demand. Are we ready to determine this based on this graph?
Wherever it lies above marginal cost.
Marginal cost?
So what do you price above that?
We don't know that yet.
Oh, okay.
We don't know how we're going to determine that. How are we going to determine this output?
Determine the output.
We need to have something else on there.
It's gotta have something to do with consumers' ability to purchase.
Has to do with, that's right, the information from the market side. Okay.
Price.
Yes. Has to, the additional information we need there is related to the consumer, relate to the market, relate to the demand. What else we need to be added?
Utility.
Utility. That will be very hard to do. How about make this into astro credit question?
Sure.
And it's not price, he said price already, right? It's not that?
No, we're still determining.
Okay, still determine quantity.
Without that, you will not know that.
Can you,
Marginal revenue?
Right.
It is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's written up there, I figured that would be.
Yes, everything is on board. But tell me why we need marginal revenue.
To determine how much you're because if it's, you want marginal revenue to, normally in a perfect competition, or a perfectly competitive market, marginal revenue equals marginal cost, but in a monopolistic market, marginal revenue should exceed, marginal cost, right?
Okay.
I'm just guessing, I don't know.
Alright. So this is the condition we used in the perfect competitive market, right? And since this equal to that, so we end up with this condition, right? Okay. Is this condition going to change for this market?
Yeah.
Or for any other market, is it gonna change?
Dan says yes.
For the
So they can change it, so, I don't know,
Gonna change?
if they can change the price, then they should be able to change the marginal revenue, right?
Remember,
Yeah.
I talk about it, marginalism concept. What is the marginalism concept?
Oh, I guess.
No matter what decision we're talking about,
Right.
either firms or consumer or policymaker, no matter. If you want to reach the optimal decision, the rule you have to follow is marginal benefit equal to the marginal cost. So since we talk about the firm's decision, marginal benefit would be the marginal revenue. So this condition here is universal. It does not change based on your market structure. We could be talking about monopolistic market structure, monopolistically competitive market, or oligopolistic market structure. This condition still applies because this originated from marginalism concept. This is one thing, you can forget everything in this class. Remember this one, marginalism concept. Seriously, this is the fundamental concept in microeconomics. Marginal benefit has to be equal to marginal cost in order to reach any optimal decision. In any incidence, in any decision, no matter what we talk about. Could be decision whether you want to take another course, could be decision whether you want to have a dog, or getting married, anything. This rule has to be satisfied. Okay, so we're going to have to rely on this to solve the output for the monopolist as well. because this is universal rule. So later on, I'm gonna talk about the oligopoly market structure. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Then, okay, how do we determine the output? Marginal revenue equal to the marginal cost. Remember this. Forget anything else. Okay,
That's all put down on my test.
good. Alright, but do we have marginal revenue here? In a perfect competitive market in the graph, we have that price there, right? And I show you that price is just marginal revenue, so we have that, right? We have that. But here, do we have the marginal revenue? We don't. We have to derive it. Let's derive it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to every class now. I'm going to put this in here.
Yeah.
How's that? Maybe use a different color. Let's start with a simple demand. Very simple demand, right? Demand function Q equal to 20p. And let's say this is that. And I need to find the marginal revenue by using this. Because marginal revenue is a characteristic that comes from the market. It's nothing to do with the firm. So you only need the demand function to derive the marginal revenue. Okay. Any idea how do we derive the marginal revenue? Marginal. See this word again, marginal. Immediately we think about what? How do we mathematically calculate marginal something? Derivatives of what? Marginal product. Remember how do we derive marginal product? It is a derivative of the total product with respect to labor or capital, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we talk about the marginal revenue per unit. So what do we need to have in order to find marginal revenue?
Complete derivative? No, I don't know.
It will be the derivative of what?
Price times.
Would it be respect to quantity?
Marginal product, when we derive this, MPL, right? Marginal product labor. We take the derivative of the total product with respect to L, right? Okay, apply the same concept here. Now we're looking for the marginal revenue. We need to take the derivative of
Total revenue.
total revenue with respect to Q. Okay, so how do we represent total revenue?
Marginal revenue times the change in Q.
Oh yes, but this is the change of total revenue. It's not really total revenue. Okay, so this is the formula for marginal revenue. You cannot use that to calculate that. So what is total revenue equal to?
Price times quantity.
Price times quantity. Okay. What's the next step? We have both P and Q, right? But we only want Q there. We don't want another variable there, right?
Okay.
Because P here, we cannot treat that a constant number because P is changing every time Q is changing. Agreed? So what do we do with this P? What do we do with this P?
Change it into from that one.
We're going to make it into inverse demand, right? Now we only have Q there. We don't have P. think everybody knows how do we do the derivative of this one. What would be the derivative of this? Derivative of this with respect to Q equal to
20 minus 2Q.
Minus 2.
good. So this is your marginal revenue line function. And this is your inverse demand function. Here, the demand is linear, right? Okay. Look at these two functions. What's the similarity between these two functions? This represents your demand. This represents marginal revenue. What's the similarity? Intercept. It's the same, right? So this is the demand that's represented by this function. So if we're going to draw a marginal revenue on the same graph, they're going to share the same point here. You guys see that? Because they have the same intercept. Marginal revenue, when Q is equal to 0, marginal revenue equal to 20.
This has it.
The demand, when Q equal to 0, the price equal to 20.
Okay.
So the marginal revenue and the demand come from the same point right here. But they have different slope. Which one is steeper? Demand or marginal revenue is steeper?
Marginal revenue.
Marginal revenue is steeper, right? So where is marginal revenue is located? Is down here or up there?
Down.
So that's how we derive the marginal revenue. Okay. In the perfect competitive case, it's very simple, it's just price, that's marginal revenue. But in the monopolist case, it's more complicated. You need to know the demand function, then calculate the total revenue, then take the derivative, then you can find the marginal revenue line. And if they are linear, if it is linear, it's going to come from the same point on the vertical. So now, can you tell me how do we determine Q? Where is optimal output? Where is optimal output?
Maybe where marginal cost is.
To what?
Are you looking for a number?
I'm looking for where is,
Well, it would be
wanna come here?
yeah, like
Yeah, come home, show it to us. Some people bored
Yeah.
of me.
I'm thinking it'd be like right there.
Where's the MC meets MR, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, MC equal to MR. So we determine Q. There's now a very straight line here. Okay, so Q is determined. What else need to determine? What's the price, right?
Mhm.
Optimum price. How do monopoly set the price?
The price will be if that.
You just plug
formula,
you just-
right?
There?
Yeah.
Good try. Think more.
Oh wait, we would have to reach the demand, wouldn't we?
Why?
So-
Good.
Because
yeah.
that's because that's what they're demanding, so you have to set the price to what they're
That's right,
demanding.
that's right. If you want to produce this much, that means you want this many consumers to buy. So you want the quantity demanded to be equal to this amount.
Right.
If the quantity demanded equal to this amount, then you have to set the price that follows law of demand. Okay, do I have the total revenue right now?
Yeah, it's such.
P star multiply Q star, that's
Right.
total revenue in the area, okay? Do I have the total cost? Can we find the total cost? How do we find the total cost?
Well, we're above the break-even point, aren't we?
So you're gonna draw this quantity up where?
Stop.
ATC.
Well,
Start at ATC,
Yeah.
right here, right?
Yeah.
Then this point here will be ATC
times
this-
Q.
for this Q, right?
And that small
This
little,
will be the total cost,
and that small little rectangle will be your profit.
economic profit.
Right. Yeah. All right.
So this monopolist is making a positive economic profit. So is everyone with me here?
Alright, so you take
Total
that.
cost? Okay,
So alright. So ATC times Q. That's
total cost,
Right.
that's your total cost.
There's total cost, and then price P times Q is total revenue. Right.
That's right. So that small shaded area represent the profit made by this monopolist.
Right.
If it is in a perfect competitive market, that profit margin eventually gonna go away when more and more people come in.
Yeah.
How about in this market?
Keep it.
It will
Keep it.
stay there. So there's no difference in the short or long run for the monopolist market because you don't allow people to come in. There's a barrier to come in.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's no difference in short run and long run. Okay, and they can maintain the positive.
Awesome.
Still have 30 minutes. All right. So now I'm going to do a practice problem that is coming from the homework problem. Actually, this homework problem shows your comparison between the monopolist case and the perfect competitive case. And before I do that, I want to ask you, if I want you to compare the price in the monopolist case and the price in the perfectly competitive market, which one the price is high? In which market the price is high?
Yeah.
If I want to compare the total quantity supplied in the monopolist case and the perfect competitive, in which market the quantity supplied, total quantity supplied is higher?
Yeah.
That's right. So the answer is right, but we need to prove that. So the following question is a formal proof to prove why price is higher than one.
Like a formula, like
It's
a
not a-
mathematical proof or a graph.
It's graphical proof.
Okay.
Graphical proof.
Awesome.
Let me look at the top. Okay. So this is a question 6, if you have the book, and I recommend you to open the book. Okay?
Question 6.
Question 6.
Page on there?
It's page 316.
So that's kind of somebody ever taken that.
No, that's right. I was just gonna see what chapter.
It's chapter 8. So,
Okay. So what I given to you is the demand and the marginal revenue and also marginal cost of this firm. Okay, I gave you these three straight line here. So what's different from previous example is now the marginal cost is a straight line, it's linear. Okay, so that's the only difference here. Okay, the first question. Determine the profit. Okay, so this is right now this market structure is monopolist case. Okay, first determine the profit maximizing output and price. That's simple, right? Determine the profit maximizing price and output. Where's the output? It's right here, right?
Yep.
Okay. And what is the amount? Profit maximizing price?
So, yep, there you go.
Okay. Very straightforward. Okay, so we'll finish the part A. Second one. What price and output would prevail if this firm's product were sold by price-taking firms in a perfectly competitive market? So now they changed. They said, what if we have a perfect competitive market? Now what price and output would prevail?
The intercept of marginal cost and demand.
Why?
Because in perfectly competitive market, marginal cost is seeking, or marginal revenue equals marginal cost
Which equals demand.
equals price.
Wait, hold on.
So you're saying it's going from a monopoly to
Right.
every competition.
So now, if this firm is selling this product in a perfect competitive market, what would be the prevailing price and also total quantity supplied?
Okay, so
The-
demand staying the same here?
Demand stays same, yeah, the demand still is represent the consumer's preference, that's still the same.
It would be where the supply and demand.
It will be the supply and the demand, where is the supply?
It's a point, isn't it?
You guys talking about supply, we need a supply, right?
Yeah.
Where does the supply come from?
Marginal cost, marginal.
Marginal cost. Do we have the marginal cost here? Yes. Remember, in a perfect competitive market, the supply curve comes from the marginal cost curve of the firm. Remember that? We talked about that, right? Okay, so if we consider this as a perfect competitive market, we have the demand and we also have the supply. And so the prevailing price would be here. The quantity would be right here. Correct? So it requires you utilize the concept we learned before. The supply curve is derived from marginal cost. Now you can clearly see the difference between the prices in these two markets and the differences in the quantity provided, right? Okay. Any question right here?
So Q star 1, that's the perfect competitive.
That's right.
And then
P
the regular
is
Q star is,
it's a monopolist quantity supply. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, the third question, which is a little bit challenging than this previous two, asks you to calculate the dead weight loss, okay, of the monopoly case. So when they asked this question, they made assumption, but actually this assumption is true. When they made assumption is that the efficiency and the monopolist market structure is lower than the efficiency and the perfect competitive market. Okay, what is the efficiency? Means efficiency is amount of social welfare. If we say efficiency is low in one market, what we mean is that the social welfare is lower in that market. So this question was asked you, already tell you, give you a hint that and the monopolist case, the social welfare is going to be lower. There will be some loss. Okay, but where is that loss? Now you have to utilize the concept of consumer surplus, producer surplus, all this stuff we learned before to calculate social welfare. Then compare scenario by scenario.
I'm assuming it's.
So that's say, let's look at profit competitive market, okay? Ignore this. Ignore this marginal revenue line. Just say we have a demand, we have a supply, okay? And where is the consumer surplus? Do you guys remember the consumer surplus?
It's
This the
that.
triangle up top, right?
Mhm.
It's this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, where's the producer
It's
surplus?
that lower
Below.
triangle.
A lower. Okay, so what is the social welfare?
It's that plus.
The
So
whole
net
thing,
margin.
yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that is under profit competitive
So
market.
deadweight loss must be that.
So now let's look at monopolist case.
Okay.
In the monopolist case, where's the quantity produced? Pure stock.
You saw.
So where is the producer surplus? No, okay, consumer surplus.
The smaller triangle up from, yeah.
Is this.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is the market price is set, this is the price is set, and this is the demand, right?
Yeah.
So now the consumer surplus is lower. Of course, they set a higher price. Consumer is going to have some loss. What about producer surplus?
The entire left side of the triangle,
Where is the producer surplus?
that big left one.
Is it the trapezoid? I mean there's a square and then the triangle at the bottom. Yeah, that.
How about that?
Is this. Because this, the producer surplus, in a sense, is the profit made by the firm, okay?
Sorry. Let's see.
So we have this, the market price, and this marginal cost. We consider this is the cost of making the goods. Okay, so we use the price, then we minus deduct the price of making the goods, and which is equal to the profit made. And the reason we're using the marginal cost here is, okay, we do not have ATC or ABC. Okay,
What she's got. You show the producer surplus
Yeah.
one more time, please.
producer surplus,
Yes, please.
where
Yeah, where is it?
is this?
Oh, okay. Got it.
Producer. Okay, so now it is clear where is that weight loss, right?
That tiny little triangle.
Okay, so you know how to calculate this area. I'm not gonna go over the details of that. Okay. So that's one question I want to go over.
And that's the deadweight loss for both, right? That's for monopoly.
Yes, because in under the monopolist case, this is your total social welfare.
Okay.
And under perfect competitive case, this is whole thing is social welfare. So this part is lost.
Okay.
So this part is lost when you have monopolist. So this is efficiency loss and also profit loss. Okay. So any question here? It's not too hard, right? Once you understand. So now I'm going to change the environment a little bit. We still have monopolist. But this monopolist has two branches, has two manufacturers, two factories. One in city one, the other one in another city. And these two manufacturers has a different cost function. One is more efficient than the other one. The one in Raleigh is better than the Charlotte. So when we have a monopolist with multiple plants, how do we derive the optimal output? We still have a monopolist,
So we have two
plants, but they have a different cost function. One is more efficient than the other.
So the price will depend on the more efficient one.
The price will depend on both. So this Q and P, so this is the total output, okay? Will depend on both plants. Because you still, it's not you only use one to produce, both gonna produce. Now how do we do it? Let me give you a specific example of that. Do we have an example? So we still have Q. So that's market demand, does not change. And instead of having one cost function, I'm gonna have two cost functions. So this represents the production from plant 1. This represents production from plant 2. Okay. And the cost from plant 1 is different from cost from plant 2. That's all the information we have. Now how do we determine the total output? And how do we determine the price that's going to be set by this monopolist? I should never erase this. I'm gonna put it right here. Okay. Any insight? It's always, if you look at economics, only there's very few principles to use. You use them over and over again, but you do have to understand them completely in order to use it in the proper way. Okay. So the difference between this example and the earlier example, now we just have two cost functions.
We use to derive it, right? We take the derive.
We have to derive what?
Get the derive,
P.
P. No? There's no P.
Derive what?
Q.
Derive Q? Or we derive Q?
We have to derive. Is it Q first and then Q?
So how do we solve this problem?
Yeah, you have to derive Q first, so
It'd
you
be-
have to.
Would be cost times quantity, but so you'd have to set Q equals 20p, find the inverse. And then, I think multiply that times C1 plus C2, plus that, inverse function times C1 plus that inverse function times C2,
Okay,
I think.
so first thing, look at this graph here. What do we need? Marginal revenue, right? And marginal cost to find optimum, right? The approach should be the same. So, first thing, we have to derive what? Marginal revenue, right? How do we derive the marginal revenue? I'll show you. Take the derivative of total revenue, right? Okay, what is total revenue, guys? P times Q. What is P? is P? What is P?
20 minus Q.
The Q is 20 minus P, right?
Yeah. So which one you gonna use?
Well, P times 20 minus P. Right?
20
Alright.
Q is Q.
Okay. What she said is doing this. Is this correct? It is correct. But can we utilize this? Because when we take the derivative, we have to take the derivative with respect to
Q.
Q. So we need Q there.
So we gotta do
So
the
that's
inverse.
why we don't write this way, we write the other way.
Oh, so it'd be P
What is P equal to?
20 minus Q.
negative
Minus
20.
Q. Minus
Right.
Q.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Are you guys with me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is equal to 20Q minus Q squared. So now do we know the marginal revenue?
Yeah, we gotta find the revenue.
It is equal to 20 minus
2Q. So the first step would be finding the inverse, like he said, right? So that's the way you get 20 minus Q times Q.
That's right, the first step. Okay, the second step, what's the second step? The second step would be this, you have to, in order to utilize this, you have to have both. Right? So what's the second step? Derivative, right? Derivative what?
Of Q.
Derivative, complete the sentence. Taking the derivative of what with respect to what?
Take the derivative.
Total revenue.
Total revenue with
So,
respect to
marginal,
See?
marginal revenue.
Take the total derivative of what?
Total cost.
Total cost with respect to?
Q.
Both of them. C1 and C2.
Do we have total cost function? We don't have total cost function. We only have total cost function for each plant. So what can we get? We can get a marginal cost function from plant 1 and also the marginal cost function from plant 2. They are not produced together. If they produce together, we can add them up, right? We talked about that before. When we talk economy of scale, they produce two things together, but now it's not. You have two different plants, they're not producing two together. So you cannot add these two cost functions together. So what we can derive is this. Marginal cost of plant 1 is what? You guys follow me here? What's the marginal cost of plant 1? You guys still have problems with derivative?
Oh, we're finding, okay.
6Q1.
Yeah.
What's the marginal cost of plant 2?
8Q.
822.
Okay, so that's the second step. You derive the marginal cost function for each plant. Remember, you cannot combine these two plants together. You cannot do that. It's different from what we learned about cost complementarity and economy of scale, because under those circumstances, you produce two things under the same manufacturer. What will be the third step?
Do you set them equal to each other?
We understand them equal, but which one equal to which one? All of it? All of it? I think that's a good idea. So, to break it down, it's like this. Does not matter this product is produced by plant 1 or plant 2. They will be sold at the same price. So either it's come from plant 1 or come from plant 2. The marginal revenue generated by that unit will be the same. So in the plant one, the marginal revenue that unit produced by the plant one has to be equal to the marginal cost at plant one. At plant two, the marginal revenue generated by the additional unit for plant two has to equal to the marginal cost in plant two. So this two has to be satisfied. Now, is it easy to solve this? Okay, look at here. We have Q. We both have Q1 and Q2, right? No, we don't do this one. We have Q here, but we have Q1 and Q2 here. Okay, so what the first equation gives you is 20 minus 2Q is equal to 6Q1. The second equation gives you 20 minus 2Q is equal to 8Q2. Right? Okay, are you guys with me here?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to replace this Q with what? Q1 plus Q2. This Q is total output. We're going to replace that right now. So now you have two equations, two unknown variables. You can solve Q1 and Q2. I'm pretty sure some of you may have difficulty in this step here, right? How to solve it. But the most important thing, what I want you to understand is this step here. Why this is the way we set. This is the most important part of this question. So
Why is
you
it set like that?
Yeah, why I said this is the most crucial part. So it requires a lot of understanding here. So at each plant, you have to optimize, you have to maximize your profit in a sense.
Yeah.
For each plant to maximize your profit, the marginal cost of producing unit has to be equal to marginal benefit of producing a unit. Alright, so this part here, you guys know how to do it? Or you want me to show you how to do it? Please? Alright. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to set these two things equal to each other. Okay? Then Q1 would be just equal to 3, 4, Q2, right? I said these two things equal to each other because the left hand side is the same, the right hand side must be the same. So set these two equal to each other, then I have this Q1 equal to 8 divided by 6. It's Q2, right? After that, I'm going to plug this Q1 equal to 4 over 3 is Q2 and back into here. No, not here, the second one. Back into here. Okay, then what we have, the 20 minus 2. Q1 is 4 over 3 Q2 plus Q2 is equal to 8 Q2. In this equation here, you only have Q2, you can solve it. You see that? The rest of it is just sorry. Alright, so, and you are ready